If you'd go ahead and unmute yourself, your own, for Dr. Cousens. Thank you.
Hi, doctor. I have two quick questions, please. One with regarding to the cacao and coconut that you were recommending. They have lots of saturated fat. How does it goes with lowering the chance of heart disease? And my second question about the fructose, you say you recommend to avoid is, would you recommend to avoid all types of fruits, or there are some fruits that are okay to eat?
Excellent question. So let's go back to while I answer the fructose thing, the only fructose I recommend is in natural fructose in fruit, and basically the low fructose fruits, bilberries, blueberries, green apples are good places to, that's kind of safe in that way. Okay. And then the kind of restate the first question again. I just two words, restate it.
Yeah, sure. So I know that coconut and cacao have lots of saturated fat.
Okay.
Saturated fat
I wasn't talking about coconut. That's why I got thrown off. But yes. And as I point out, that saturated fat has not been proven. In fact, what you saw in my slideshow is a certain amount of saturated fat is not a problem. And I think that's really the answer. Can we say exactly how that much that is? There's a big scare about saturated fat. We need fat. Your brain needs fat. Your hormonal system needs fat. And so what I'm saying is a little bit of saturated fat is safe. Obviously, organic, veganic, uncooked, saturated fat. So as long as you're not, I'm going to be vague here, but overdoing it, a little bit of saturated fat, like with cacao or coconut, but not 10 coconuts a day. You want to have a half a coconut, I don't think you're looking at any kind of danger whatsoever. We need saturated fat for our overall metabolism and our brain. Okay, next question.
Great, thank you, Doctor. And we have just a few minutes left, and so let's go ahead and Catherine, if you'd go ahead and unmute. We look forward to your question for Dr. Cousens. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, aloha, Dr. Cousens. I had another question. I really love the Carillion photographs. And I know you talked a little bit about not eating frozen food. I'm guessing you eat dried nuts. And I'm just curious about that loss of life force that you mentioned that, in the first 3 days.
Right.
How do you think that relates in terms of eating dried fruit or dried nuts?
Okay, so it's a good question. When you dehydrate, you lose about 25%. Okay. If things just sit, you're going to lose 25% whenever you're dehydrated. We kind of measured this with Carillion photography, to tell you the truth. That's why I was saying that with a little bit of confidence, is that we did measure all these different things. The best is dehydration. Okay. I don't really have dried fruit. It's way too sweet, way too concentrated. So that's not part of it. So what I'm saying is a little bit of dehydrated food works pretty well but I don't really focus on dehydrated food. I would say it's a very, very, very small part of my diet. My diet is basically, if we're going to do nuts and seeds, straight nuts and seeds, hydrated, so that you've reactivated the energy of it. So that's more how I do nuts and seeds. I really don't do much with the dehydrated.
Great, Doctor. Thank you.
Less processing, the better, is really what I'm saying. Okay.
That's great. Thank you. And looks like we have time for just one more question. We thank everybody for coming on. Let's go to David. David, if you'd go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Dr. Cousens. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I had a question you may have addressed since I just joined the call, so please forgive me if you've already addressed it. And that has to do with supplements for vegans, i.e. vitamin D, essential fatty acids, omega-3, algae oil, or vitamin B12. Can you talk about those or any other supplements you recommend for vegans in general?
Here's the key. Meat eaters and vegans all are deficient in those areas. Don't think vegan is something special, and if you're a meat eater, you don't get deficient. Meat eaters and vegans are deficient at the optimum for B12 of 480% of vegans and 90% of vegans, 80% of meat eaters are deficient. You're not at that level. Same thing with the omega-3s. About 95% of the total population of the United States is deficient in long-chain omega-3s. So I want people to get away from the idea that there's something deficient about a vegan diet. It's not the case, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? A little less B12 in the diet, fine. Omega-3s, maybe a little bit more. The vitamin D, everyone seems to be deficient, 85% of the population. Everybody needs vitamin D, okay? So that's what I think the important thing is vegans are not a separate class and we're deficient more so than meat eaters. Does that help?
I think it sure does. I think they're muted at this point, but yeah, I think that sure does help.
It's important to let go of the concept that I'm vegan, therefore I'm more deficient. I don't think that's the case. Because now it may vary percentage-wise, but mostly what I just said, everyone needs that as a supplement. Everybody needs vitamin C as a supplement. Most people I see, vegan or meat eaters, need some kind of general B vitamins because of all the stress that's going on in the environment. So we are not a separate deficient class. We're just as deficient as everybody else, meat eaters as well. And yes, everyone needs supplements in this day and age with the level of physical, emotional, and psychological and spiritual stress that everyone's undergoing.